It's a Tuesday morning. Your alarm goes off at 7, the way it has for 20 years. And for the first time in your adult life, you turn it off and stay in bed. Because yesterday was your last day of work. Starting today, you don't earn money. Your portfolio does. No paycheck, no boss, just a pile of dividend stocks, and a plan to live off them alone for 1 full year. Most people think they know how this story goes. Money shows up. You relax. The end. And right now, lying in that quiet bedroom, you think that too. But the first year of living off dividends doesn't test your portfolio. It tests you. Let me show you the first morning.
You make coffee. You open your brokerage account, and you stare at a number you've spent 15 years building. Call it $1 million, spread across 40 boring companies. Companies that make soap and electricity and breakfast cereal. At roughly a 3.5% yield, that's about $35,000 a year headed your way. Lean, but livable, the way you've set your life up. You should feel free.
Instead, you feel exposed, because there's no paycheck coming on Friday, or ever. For the first time since you were a teenager, no one anywhere owes you money for your time. If this machine sputters, there is no backup. So the first hours aren't a celebration, they're a stakeout. You refresh the account. Nothing. You refresh again. Still nothing. Dividends don't arrive because you're watching. They arrive on a schedule set by companies that don't know you exist. Then, on day 9, it happens. A deposit. $412 from a utility company you bought years ago and mostly forgot about. It's not a big number, but you didn't lift a finger for it. Nobody approved your timesheet. It just appeared. And this exact moment, is where the illusion slips in. You look at that deposit and think, free money, a magic faucet. But that faucet isn't magic. And week 1 is about to prove it. Because in week 1, the market drops. Nothing historic, just a bad stretch of headlines. And your $1 million portfolio becomes a $940,000 portfolio in 5 trading days. $60,000, gone from the screen. That's almost 2 years of your spending, evaporated while you were making lunch. Your chest tightens. Your thumb hovers over the sell button. 20 years of instinct is screaming that when something breaks, you fix it. But then you notice something strange. You check the payment schedule, and nothing changed. The soap company still owes you the same dividend, on the same date. The electric company too. The price on the screen collapsed. The income did not. That's the first revelation. You think you live off your portfolio's value. The truth is the opposite. You live off its payments. And the market can hate your stocks all at once, as long as the businesses keep sending the checks. But surviving the fear opens the door to something sneakier. Greed. Because somewhere in week 3, you find it. A fund with an 11% yield. 11. Your boring portfolio pays 3.5, and this thing pays triple. You do the fantasy math instantly, swap everything over, and $35,000 a year becomes over $100,000. Same money, triple the income. Why doesn't everyone do this? Here's why. In markets, yield is a price tag. And when the price tag looks too good, you're the one being sold. You move a slice of your money anyway. You have to touch the stove once, and for 2 months, it's glorious. Fat payments, right on time.
Then the announcement comes. The fund is cutting its payout nearly in half. The share price falls off a cliff the same morning, because everyone who owned it was only there for the yield. Your income from that slice drops, and the money you'd need to move back out shrank with it. You didn't find a shortcut. You found the toll booth.
So you retreat to the boring companies. Bruised, but educated. And that's when the first month hands you a gift you didn't see coming. An email. An announcement from the cereal company. They're raising their dividend. 6%. You didn't ask. You didn't negotiate. You didn't sit across a desk from a manager listing your accomplishments.
A company you own just gave you a raise because it earned more money and decided to hand more of it to its owners. And you are an owner. Then it hits you. 40 companies. Most of them have been raising their payouts every single year, for years, quietly, relentlessly. While you were working, you never noticed. Now it's your salary. And your salary has a habit of growing on its own. Let me be straight with you for a second here. This is a scenario, not advice. Real dividends get cut. Real companies fail. Real people need bigger cushions, and health insurance, and margin for terrible years. Nobody should quit their job tomorrow because a story sounded smooth. But stay with me, because the machinery underneath this story is real, and it gets stranger. Months 2 and 3 teach you rhythm. Dividends don't arrive like a paycheck, every 2 weeks, smooth and predictable. They arrive in lumps. March is fat. February is a ghost town. Some weeks, 3 companies pay you in 2 days. Some weeks, nothing.
So you build a buffer, a plain cash account where dividends pool, and you pay yourself the same amount every month, like a salary. Therefore, the lumpy income becomes a smooth life. You're not just an investor anymore. You're the payroll department of your own one-person company. And then, tax season approaches, and you brace for pain. All year you've been setting money aside, the way a paycheck taught you to. A third of everything, roughly, waiting for the government. Because that's the rule of income, right? You make money, they take a cut. You've watched it happen on every pay stub of your life. But when you actually sit down and work through the return, the numbers refuse to add up. They keep coming out, low, absurdly low. You assume you've made a mistake. You haven't. Here's what nobody told you. In the United States, most dividends from established American companies, held long enough, count as qualified dividends. And qualified dividends don't use the tax brackets your paycheck used. They have their own, gentler ladder, and the bottom rung of that ladder is zero. Zero. If your total income sits below a certain line, a line a modest dividend income can absolutely sit under. The federal tax rate on those dividends is literally nothing. You think income is income, and the government always takes its bite first. The truth is the opposite. The tax code treats a dollar you worked for and a dollar your portfolio sent you as 2 different species, and the portfolio's dollar gets the friendlier cage. Your paycheck was taxed before it ever touched your hands. This income might reach you whole. So look at where you stand as the year turns. The market dipped, and your income didn't blink. You touched the high-yield stove, got burned, and learned to read a price tag. Your companies handed you raises no one asked you to earn, and the tax bill you feared all year turned out to be a fraction of what a paycheck would have suffered. But the real twist is still waiting, and it shows up on the last morning of the year, when you sit down to close the books. You spent 12 months of your life, groceries, gas, insurance, a trip to see your sister, all of it paid for.
And then you look at the portfolio and count the shares. Every share is still there, all of them. You lived for an entire year, and you never sold a single thing.
That's the twist. You thought you spent the year living off your savings. You never touched your savings. The pile you spent 15 years building sat there the whole time, fully intact, and 40 businesses paid your bills out of their profits. Not out of your pile, out of what the pile produces. You weren't eating the goose.
You were eating the eggs. And once you see that, you can't unsee the difference. A person spending down savings is on a countdown. Every month, less remains. Every year, the math gets scarier. But your income at the end of the year was higher than at the start. Not because you added money, but because the companies kept raising the payments. Your salary negotiated itself. Now run that forward. 10 years of raises, stacking on raises, the same shares you own today, paying out more and more against what you originally paid, until the yield on your old purchase price looks like a number no bank would ever dare print. People who bought good dividend growers decades ago collect more in payments each year than some workers earn, Not because they timed anything, because they held while the payments climbed. So here's what I want to leave you with. Most people picture retirement as a pile of money slowly melting, a countdown clock with a dollar sign, and they're terrified of it, because every withdrawal feels like tearing a page out of a book that's almost finished. But there's another way to hold wealth, not as a pile to be melted, but as an orchard. You don't eat the trees, you eat the fruit. And a well-kept orchard doesn't shrink as you feed yourself. It gets taller. It's slower to build, it's boring on purpose, and plenty of people live full, happy lives without ever planting it. But you should at least know the orchard exists. Because the day you stop asking, how long will my money last, and start asking, what does my money pay me, retirement stops being a countdown and starts being an income. You began this year thinking the test was whether the money would show up. Now you know. The money was always going to show up. The test was whether you could sit still and let it. That's what the first year teaches you. Not how to live off dividends, how to finally trust them.